Welcome to my video on the Hillcrest No.1 Shay locomotive. In early August 2023, the locomotive was out for public display for the long weekend, for people to enjoy seeing all the work that has been done, and to bring awareness to the fact that this project is almost complete. Lots of things to celebrate. In this video, I'm going to explain a bit about this locomotive's history and significance to the Cowichan Valley. I'm going to explain a bit about the 7-year rebuild project that's almost complete. I'm going to show you various photos that I've taken of it, and I'm going to show you video from the final day of this long weekend on display of the locomotive during the day, and then also of it being moved back to the shed. Thanks very much for watching. I hope that you enjoy this. The first time that I visited the center as an adult was in August 2021, and I was vaguely aware of this Hillcrest Shay rebuild project, but I was totally unaware that I was standing among various parts of it as I took these photographs at the lower shed area. My main focus was on the Mayo Lumber No. 3 Shay. The next time that I visited was July 2022, and Pat and Ben were working in the lower shed, and I was able to step inside and take a few photos. And then in early September 2022, for the Labor Day long weekend, the center had its Forestry Days celebration, and for that occasion, they brought the Shay outside for people to look at it, admire it, ask questions, and for it to be kept in the public eye for this long project. They did some temporary fittings, such as placing the cab, and they rigged up a whistle with an air compressor and let the kids pull the cord. In April 2023, the Shay was in the main shop building being prepared for some tests. I was grateful to be allowed to visit briefly to take a few photographs from this overhead angle. What was happening is this was leading up to first fire in early May after doing a hydrostatic test on the new boiler. And that takes us to early August 2023 with the Shay on display outside for people to enjoy. During the day, I took a lot of time getting photographs of the Shay from various angles in the visitor area that they had set up. This is close to the main line at Alderlea Station. I was after this kind of photograph, a nice 3/4 view before all the people got there. Hey, I was there, so I know I'm being selfish. But I was happy to get this clean photo. But first, I waited for these two gentlemen to finish their conversation. And that was just perfectly okay, because these are two special people. Alf Carter is the board president of the BC Forest Museum Society, and I think it's safe to say that he was the main visionary to start this Hillcrest Shay rebuild project. So it's fitting to see him beside this almost completed Shay rebuild. And he's talking to Jack Peak. And if it wasn't for Jack and Jack's vision, we probably wouldn't still have rails on what we call the ENN Railway today, which hopefully will see trains run again. But Jack's vision was to preserve them when the big railway companies wanted out a number of years ago. So this scene is about honoring those who had the vision and the will and the skills to see the opportunity and to get the project started. I found this composition because I wanted to capture the visitor train going past as it arrives at Alderlea Station, being towed by Samson, the No. 25 Vulcan steam locomotive. And hey, the little green locomotive is No. 26, the Green Hornet. It's a gasoline-powered Plymouth locomotive that pulls the visitor train on weekdays and during spring and autumn. After seeing the visitor train arrive and depart from that angle, I decided to check out the other side by the train station for a different angle. This is a nice angle. I like it, showing the tracks of what I guess I could call the Alderlea Station rail yard with the main line, the siding, and the little spur that the Shay is on. And of course I was set up so that when the visitor train arrived, it would roll right past this scene as it came to a stop at Alderlea Station. And later on in the day, when the visitor train was on the far other side of the grounds, I got permission to briefly step onto the main line to get a few photographs from this angle. The 1918 Maxwell logging truck was out and about, driving around, making people happy. And while it was stopped near the Shay, I decided to try for a photograph here. I also got permission to stay late past closing time in order to observe and record the move of the Hillcrest Shay back to the lower shed. I was really happy about that. The move plan was to wait for the number 25 Samson steam locomotive to finish its last run of the day with a visitor train and uncouple from the coaches and then be taken back to its shed at the shop area. And then the Green Hornet would reverse and couple to the front of the Shay and would reverse out of the spur and then move around the coaches and proceed along the main line towards the Wye. And I was happy to work 3 cameras to get video from 3 different angles of this. I hope you enjoy it. After the Green Hornet and the Shay left Alderlea Station, I did a very fast walk down to the Wye area by the bunkhouses. I set up 3 cameras, one here looking at the Wye and enjoying really nice favorable late afternoon lighting. I set up another camera from the Wye facing the shed into the sunlight. Bad idea, and I struggled with this. Although, as I zoomed closer in towards the shed, I blocked out the sunlight, and I got some favorable views here. And the third camera was set up at the back of the shed, looking for these kind of views as the Shay was rolled into the shed. But I learned a lesson. Don't set up right at the back of the shed because that's where the staff person is going to stand. So I was outside near the Wye while this was happening, filming as the locomotive was approaching this shed. I'm thankful to this gentleman, another observer photographer, who noticed the problem with my photo angle in the shed and lifted up my camera and held it so that I could get some video footage of the locomotive backing into the shed. Thanks very much. After the Shay was safely in the shed, try saying that 3 times fast, it uncoupled from the Green Hornet. And then I went inside and retrieved my camera from the back of the shed, and we said our goodbyes to the various good people, and I was on my way. And now you're going to see the video footage of the move from the Wye into the shed. I started this camera recording first, and then I quickly ran over to the shed to set up my little camera in there. As I was setting up in the shed, that's when the train rolled by, and so I was still adjusting my angles and stuff, so it's a bit shaky, but hey, I'm happy to get it. There are 5 Shay locomotives preserved on Vancouver Island. 3 of them are at the BC Forest Discovery Centre. There is one at the Cowichan Station Museum in the town of Lake Cowichan. This is number 12 of Comox Logging and Railway Company. I saw this in March 2022. The 2 spot is at Port Alberni, and Rod Gledhill put a lot of work and love into this restoration a number of years ago. These photos are from December 2017 and June 2016. The most visible Shay at the BC Forest Discovery Centre is this one, Blodell, Stewart and Welch No. 1, because it's right alongside the highway at the entrance to the centre. Back on a June 2019 night, I thought it was a good idea to try some night photography of this Shay. But there was a large LED signboard beside it, giving off a lot of purple light, so that gave a weird effect, but hey, I was happy to see this. The Mayo Lumber No. 3 Shay is on display at the BC Forest Discovery Centre's field area near the bunkhouses. People such as the late Dan Gledhill put a lot of work and love into this locomotive's restoration, and it was used on loan for a number of years at the Kettle Valley Steam Railway near Summerland, BC in the Okanagan. And of course the 5th Shay on Vancouver Island is what this video is all about. Hillcrest's No. 1, and in this 2021 view you can see parts of it. There's the new boiler on the left, and you can see the new water tank on the right. The locomotive's specifications and history are found on the web page of the BC Forest Discovery Centre. Don't worry, you don't have to get a microscope to read this. I will show it to you in easier to read sections, or you can look for yourself at this web page link. I'll put the link in the description comments below. As you can see, this locomotive has very strong ties to the Cowichan Valley of Vancouver Island, starting with Hillcrest Lumber up at Massachi Lake near Cowichan Lake, and then of course working at Osborne Bay, which is right near Crofton. I think that this obvious and strong connection of the community to this locomotive, given its history and significance, made it perhaps simpler for people to come on board and support this rebuild project. This particular locomotive is also well known through the model railway community worldwide. For a description and timeline of the rebuild project, this is what I used to learn. It's a Facebook page created and updated by Pat Hosford, who does just a super job of photos and explanations, and this is a wonderful historical archive now of this project, which has been, I think, a bit more than 7 years ongoing. If you are interested in learning more about this project, I 100% recommend that you follow this Facebook page and spend a lot of time going through the old posts and photos. I can see that this project, the media launch date was in May 2016. The project included an entirely new boiler and a new water tank. I look forward to the completion of this project and seeing this locomotive operational, pulling the visitor train. Thanks for watching.